Hi, I'm Dan Catt, and this is the audio version of newsletter number 39, How to be Productive, Actual Advice. And because this isn't an AI reading of the newsletter, it may differ slightly from the actual text as I choose to embellish parts of it. Also, today it's kind of raining outside, so if you hear rainy traffic noises, that is why. And for the YouTube watchers, this is supposed to be an audio read version of the newsletter, so if you stumbled across this on my channel, this isn't the right medium for this whole video part. I like to do it this way because I've got the mic set up and all my audio plugins are on Final Cut Pro, so I find it a lot easier to edit down the audio for the newsletter, but this is probably not the best way of consuming this media. The newsletter is linked down below, and this is our own little secret chat bit here, just you and me chatting about the newsletter, because this is not on the audio version at all, and I guess I ought to get on, so let's do a edit point so I can drop back in. My bank, MONZO, sent me this message to my phone the other day. Overall, you've spent about 48% less in June than in May. See how this year's going. And it thinks that's a supportive message. Well done you on saving money. But because the old studio saga is still dragging on, and it's dragging all my savings with it and then some, it's no surprise that I'm spending less because I don't really have any money. So thanks for the reminder, MONZO, in your nice positive voice, that that's the shit that's going down. Quick edit to add that since I wrote this newsletter, which I write the week previous to it coming out, I've had some information back from the solicitor that's saying that things are starting to move again, like hopefully. We'll see how that goes. But while that's happening, let's go on to PRESEED, which is my upcoming digital pen plotter project thing. On Tuesday, which is a couple of days ago, I published a follow-up to my YYY seed project, which is called PRESEED, and it's set to open next Tuesday, which is the 16th of July. It's another generative art pen plotter hybrid, which means that on the website, the FXHash website, if you spam the variations button until you see an output that you like, you can hit the open a new window button and then either press S, that will save a PNG file of it, or you can press 1 to 6, which corresponds to A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, which will spit out an SVG file, actually 2 SVG files that you can then send to the pen plotter. Once again, the aspect of NFTs that I particularly like is that anyone can sort of hit right click and then save the image to keep a copy of the artwork, and they can carry on exploring a whole range of generative outputs and then even plot their own version onto a drawing machine. But should you choose, you can air quotes own an official one with the NFT acting as the certificate of ownership or authenticity. I still think this is one of the valuable parts of the NFT and Web3 ecosystem, which will just somehow ultimately get rebranded as digital ownership. So in the same way people own a Blu-ray DVD, but you just license movies, at some point you'll actually have digital ownership of those things. I think we're going to move there. I think NFTs and Web3 is how we get there, but they're going to need to change the process and all the wording to try to ditch the whole NFT thing that's been happening the past couple of years. Anyway, this isn't the place to rehash that whole argument, so instead I made a video about the PRESEED project, which you can find here. And if you're reading the newsletter, there should be a link to that. If you're watching the video, there'll be a link underneath to the PRESEED video. And if you're on audio, well, I guess you'll just have to hunt that project out somehow, somewhere. But I'm very excited about the project launching, but I saved most of my conversation about it for that video, so that can all stay there. On to the main topic of this newsletter, which is productivity. This is my actual tip for productivity, which I do give to people, because people say, hey Dan, how come you're so productive? And even though I don't feel it, I still manage to get quite a lot done. So let's go through that. This is my number 4 top productivity tip, and it works for me better than most other tips, and I'll explain why it may not work for you in a moment, or why it might. So here it is. You have to notice when you're productive and notice when you aren't productive. And we can call those productive times flow state, if you like. It makes it easier for me. And then you schedule your main top priorities when you know you hit that flow state, and then save the not flow state for all that other stuff that kind of fills up your life. And by this, I mean I've read lots of productivity books, and they all have different advice, and one that crops up quite often is get up at 5 a.m. The morning is the best time. You can get work done before the whole world wakes up. You can get 5 hours of work in before or 10 o'clock, and then you can get on with the rest of your day. And I tried this. I got up at 5 o'clock when all the productive, smart people all got up, and I couldn't focus. By 10 a.m. I'd still done nothing at all. Another one is eat that frog. Do the hard thing that you don't want to do first, and then everything else after that is easy. And that also didn't work. I tried to do the most challenging thing first to get it out of the way so then I could get on with all the other stuff, but that didn't work at all, and I felt like a failure, as though there was something wrong with me because all this advice just didn't work. Worse, I'd start each day with a bunch of admin to do and then some project work to do, and I'd try to get the project work done first, and I'd fail at that and I'd keep struggling till after lunch, and then I would get into my flow state and start on this project work and realise I still had all this admin stuff to do, so then I'd switch to the admin and go, well, I'll try again tomorrow and I'll start again with the project the next day. But of course on the next day, exactly the same thing happened. But when I started journaling and Kitty, my AI PA, was asking me what I was doing throughout the day, I noticed something. I always didn't get big project work done in the morning, but from about 1 p.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. I'd enter into this flow state and I'd get loads of stuff done. The hours would melt away and I felt super productive. This is the thing that annoys me about productivity advice. Say there are 10 productivity books with 10 different ways of doing things. One of those books can apply to you and it actually has all the advice that you need that will help you, and the other 9 don't. And then you take all of those books and you shuffle them all up. For the audio listeners, I have a bunch of cards representing those books and I am shuffling them, and now they're all messed up. You're then given the books one at a time. Some people will get the correct book on the very first time and they're like, this productivity stuff is brilliant. But for other people, the correct book is right at the bottom of the stack, and then they have to go through all of these other books first, and it takes a strong person to read all of these books, try the advice, and then find that it doesn't work for them, and then not blame themselves. And they go, it must be me, because these work for all these other people, but they haven't got to the one that will work for them, which is at the bottom of the pile. You see this a lot on YouTube with a goddamn awful thumbnail and a title like, "This productivity book saved my life." And the person goes, I picked this book up and I was amazed and now I can do everything I need to. You should get this book. Say there are 10 million people, which is way less than reality, trying to read productivity books. And if 10% of them hit the correct book on the first book from the stack, then that's 1 million people going, this is the best book ever. Productivity books are great. But then imagine a different video script that'll be like, I tried all these books and then none of them worked until I tried this one, because it was near the bottom of the stack for that person. It doesn't mean that this book is better than all the other ones or that this book will work for you. It's just this is the first book that actually really worked for the person who got to it, because different productivity methods work for different people, obviously. And while clearly the books work for those people, like millions of them, and quite a lot of them on YouTube talking about them, the same book may not work for you. It can get frustrating when things that other people say work just don't work for you. You end up feeling there must be something wrong with you. But none of the advice in these books worked for me in the morning. And most of the advice in these books worked for me in the afternoon. It took me far too long to realise it was when I was applying those techniques that made the difference, not what those techniques were. Like, eat that frog worked when that frog thing happened at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and not before. I love getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It makes me feel super productive, but only for getting a lot of admin work done when my brain is jumping around and then focusing on my actual project in the afternoon, a good 8 hours later from 5 o'clock. So my advice to you is this: if you notice there's a time of day when you get into your flow state, no matter when that time of day is for you, it might be 5 o'clock in the morning for you, then do your main work in that time and then save all your other stuff, answering emails, DMs, social media, YouTube watching, shopping, walking, everything else in not that flow state time. Unless of course you have ADHD, in which case all bets are off. Sorry about that. You might be able to use your hyper-focus state. You might be able to use the times when you're skipping from tasks to tasks to really help you. I feel like my brain is like that in the morning, but I get into a flow state in the afternoon, so I've worked out how to make that work for me. Well, I've been thinking about all of that because I fell into the trap the other week, even though I thought I had sorted all this out. I had a couple of videos to make, but I was still thinking of that task as a single thing. make video, where in fact it's actually 4 subtasks, which is outline the script and do the shot list, then properly write the script, and then shoot the video and edit the video. 4 distinct tasks. And I found myself doing those where I'll just get in the morning and go, I have to carry on making the video, and that might be writing the script. And I was doing that in the morning and it didn't work. It didn't work until the afternoon when I enter my flow state. I was annoyed because when I was editing a video, I would sit down in the morning and it would take me the whole day to edit the video. In reality, writing the script and editing the video really just took me an afternoon, and I'd waste the whole morning failing to actually get started. Interestingly though, outlining the scripts, which I do on index cards and I move them all around, and working out which shots I need, that is a nice morning task because it's sort of jumping around lots of things. And shooting the video, which involves setting up the camera for one shot and then moving it to another place and moving it to another place, is like lots of bursts of short things. So again, that works well in the morning, but editing the video or full-on writing a script works better in the afternoon. So I've made a mental note now: afternoon for writing scripts and editing videos, mornings for outlining and shooting. And things are working a lot better now. To reiterate that whole lot, productivity for me isn't a how or a method, it's mainly just a when I apply those techniques. Zines. And I really love that word. I've been chipping away at the zine project, which is going well. I've got all the code working out the layout, how to put the designs on each page, how to number the pages, how to make a table of contents. There's not much to show yet, but it's very satisfying getting that code working. There are a few things that I thought were going to tie me up, but I've managed to get over those. So now it's just a process of finding the time to keep doing the next stages for them. I really like that, like all the generative art, each one has a seed hash that you can feed into it that controls everything about it. So if I send one off and it disappears in the post, I can recreate that one exactly and send it off again. So that's nice. That whole project is still ongoing because I want it to pick from a big pool of designs, like 20 designs, or a pool that I can change over time. I've only got 7 designs in there at the moment, and I was going to get all those 22 designs done first before working on the layout code, but when I was doing jury duty, it was easier to switch to the layout code rather than those designs. So I'm kind of ahead of myself now, which is great, and I'm just going to work on that in small pockets of time. That's it. We've made it all the way to the end. That's great. And just in case you're wondering, my top 3 productivity tips above the 4th one is this. First, get good sleep. If you need 8 hours of sleep, then make sure you get 8 hours of sleep. Screens off, phone, laptop, all of those, except for the Kindle, 2 hours before bed, 1 hour before bed. If you're really pushing it and you can't handle 2 hours, I go to bed at around 10 o'clock, so screens off at 8 o'clock for me. And then no caffeine 8 hours before you sleep. So for me, that would be no caffeine after lunch. And I try to avoid caffeine anyway. It doesn't really matter what productivity hack or tip or technique works for you. You could have the best one in the whole world, but it will only be effective if you have the sleep hygiene, air quotes, in place. Or to put it another way, if you don't have the whole sleep thing sorted out, then no amount of effort you put into the productivity thing is going to help. Bit like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, you really need to have the sleep stuff nailed first. I've met people who put so much time into making filing systems, getting things done, sorting things into a list, having whiteboards, trying different things out, having great project management tools on their laptops, and then put 0 effort into getting into bed on time and making sure they get enough sleep, and then wondering why their techniques don't work because their brain isn't functioning, they're tired and they're fatigued. And hey, I mean, I'm great in the afternoon, but if you work best from 11 o'clock at night until 3 in the morning and your bedtime is then 4 o'clock in the morning till noon, that's fine. Just then know that there's no point trying to get any productive work done in the afternoon. Save it for that productive 4 hours from 11 till 3. It's just know your schedule. That's basically all it is. You could have the most efficient method of filling a bucket with water, but if your bucket has these huge sleep holes in, it's just not going to work. You need to patch those holes. Sorry. Bonus obvious tip, eat well and exercise, but that's not what you came to this newsletter for advice like that. Anyway, good luck out there. I love you all, and I'll see you again. The next newsletter is around the 25th of July. We're out and done. Oh man, I had good fun making these pretend cards here with all these designs on. That's I think that's the 5 AM Club. That's the Eat That Frog. That's something to do with taking 5-minute breaks. I made that one up. That's probably Atomic Habits. That's Who Moved My Cheese, which I don't even think is a productivity book. That's Getting Things Done. I don't know, I ran out. That's the 10th one I did, so I just did a little graph going up. That's a Cal Newport one, I think. And obviously an Hourglass. I think I just made that one up too. Visual aids for a newsletter. Anyway, hopefully this will be an easier edit than last week and also a shorter video. Let's see how it goes. Okay, video people, over and out.